1027. Let me go to Patrick in Maryland. Hello, Patrick.
Program.
Wow. Just when you thought things couldn't get crazier, you then hear an idea from respected people. I kind of use that in, air quotes, respected people. Paul Krugman is one of them. Respected people on how they can solve this debt crisis. It's not that hard, gang. It's not that hard. I know we've talked about, modern monetary theory that just says you could just print money. No, it's better and easier than that. It's easier than that. I'll give that idea to you, and maybe a quick look at the ramifications coming up in 60 seconds. You're a stats guy.
Sure.
I mean, you're a math guy. You like math.
Yeah, I do.
Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So what is the problem right now that we're facing in the Senate? What are the Democrats trying to do?
Well, they were very worried about the debt ceiling.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not getting that one hiked up.
Yeah.
Though it seems like they might have solved that one, thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully with Mitch McConnell's help, which is weird. Oh, well, we can count on the GOP every time but this time. All right, so they had the debt limit, the debt ceiling. You can't spend any more money. That's going to put us into bankruptcy. But the other reason why they need that ceiling raised is because they need to spend another $5 trillion. Well, nobody's lending us any money, all right? So we just had to print it. I'm sorry, not printing it. We're digitizing it, which is completely different than printing it.
Saves lots of paper.
And ink. And ink. So the cost goes down. All right, so they are really concerned about what are we going to do? How are we going to make sure we have the money we need? So here's the idea. What if the Treasury Department minted a platinum coin and put on the platinum coin $1 trillion? Then they deposited that $1 trillion platinum coin and used it to pay bills without taking out any new debt.
So...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so,
shoot holes in that one.
Okay, no, I don't know that I can, first of all.
Right, you can't. Dean Baker, left-leaning economist, he's like... Due to a technicality in the law, the Treasury Department can print that platinum coin and assign a huge value to it, let's say $1 trillion, and sell it to the Federal Reserve Board. And this would get around the need to borrow. And Zachary Carter with the Washington Post, Paul Krugman has endorsed the idea. Rashida Tlaib and Jerry Nadler love that idea.
I'm shocked at this collection of people.
I am too.
It is a very surprising.
I am too.
So, basically... The idea would be to take, I guess the substance isn't important as it represents the idea.
It's got to be very expensive.
It is important, my understanding is it has to be a coin. It does legitimately have to be a coin. But let's just say it wasn't a coin and instead it was a check. Right? So if I'm a homeowner and I've got a bunch of bills and I guess I could just write a check for...
and deposit it into your account.
And then you pay the bills.
And then you just write other checks.
Right. Just keep... Yeah. There was a documentary on this, Catch Me If You Can. It was called. And...
Really?
Yeah.
So that didn't work out that time. But they didn't have the right to print a coin.
Right.
This is a coin.
This is a coin.
By the way, the government wants you to know there is no intrinsic value on Bitcoin. Okay? There's no real substance behind Bitcoin.
Yeah, and the Biden administration currently trying to create a multiple dozens of countries to try to come together to go after Bitcoin and all those illegal activities that are associated with it.
That's a sham. That is there's it's very dangerous to do things like that. Anyway, back to this $1 trillion platinum coin.
It is absolutely unbelievable they're taking this seriously. And there are a lot of people on the left that are saying, yep, go for it. Do it. Do it. Now,
why not? Nobody's had to pay for any. There's no ramifications for anything anymore.
But like, if you have a debt ceiling, the issue with a debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Now, again, as we talked to Stephen Moore just the other day, guy who's advised presidents of the United States,
sure.
We don't just default on the money when this date comes. We would have to prioritize our spending, and constitutionally, the number one priority is paying our debts. So, like, it would be legitimately the last thing to go after, like, the military.
Right.
So we're not going to default.
Let's just pay it, though, with a coin.
Right. So the concept,
I'm sure China would be fine with that.
Why would it be bad if we didn't pay our bills? Why would it be bad? I mean, people have been late on payments before. Your life doesn't collapse, right?
No,
why would it be bad? It would be bad because the faith and credit of the United States, the full faith and credit of the United States is something that is in our founding documents.
No,
so it is central to our country's foundation.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And because, now I know you don't believe this, but people who buy treasury bonds do believe this.
And who's buying? Wait. Who's buying treasury bonds right now?
Well, lots of people are buying them.
Really? Are they? Countries?
The Fed is buying a lot of them.
The Fed
is
buying almost all of them.
But like in investment profiles, it is literally listed as a zero-risk transaction to buy a U.S. Treasury bill. Now, it's not a zero-risk transaction, but that's how they consider it, okay?
We
don't think back to 2008 when I say that
don't.
at all.
I'm
that's not a good reference. Get your head out of 2008 for a second.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Or the 30s. Don't go back to the 30s.
I'm not afraid.
Okay.
I'm not afraid.
Okay. But the point is that it is important. Our economy would have massive troubles if we defaulted. And the reason is that no one would buy that we were going to pay our bills. That would be a huge issue. That's just basically people making a judgment, right? They're saying, wait a minute, this is not stable. This is not zero risk. It's a real risk. If we started minting trillion-dollar coins.
This is platinum, not paper.
People aren't so dumb that they would think, oh, well, they're doing well. They got the trillion-dollar coins. They can print them whenever they want. They would have the same reaction as if we defaulted. They would say, wait a minute.
No.
We're not going to get our money back. They're obviously unstable.
No, you don't understand.
Even
wait a minute.
Even though it is a Ponzi scheme.
Wait a minute. You're forgetting that the office of the comptroller of the currency is going to be this new Soviet-born, Soviet-trained economic professor. She got her scholarship. It was the Vladimir Lenin Scholarship for Economics, and she just says that she wants to. Let me see if I can find the quote. Here's the quote: "End banking as we know it." And so we'd get rid of all of the banks, especially the local ones, and we would just have the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve would be the one that was holding the trillion-dollar coin. I don't understand your problem. By the way, she refused to provide a copy of her thesis on Karl Marx Economic Analysis and Theory of Revolution. It was on her resume, and it was a big paper that she wrote. It was, kind of a big deal. She's not providing it to the Senate. What's weird, neither is the Treasury. Treasury won't produce that document either. But I'm sure it's nothing. Now, let's talk about inflation, which is just transitory. Okay, stop your whining. Yes, it's costing you $175 a month. But we're not going to tax people. We are not going to tax people.
So does the inflation only hit people who earn $400,000 or more?
No, it's not a tax, Stu.
It's not a tax.
It's not
$175 a month.
Just because they're printing too much money and they're doing things like keeping people out of jobs by paying them to stay out of jobs, that's making prices go up. But that's those capitalists. I mean, Psaki even said, it's crazy that these businesses might pass on the costs of their taxes to you. It's crazy, Stu.
That's what it is.
So it's $175 a month currently. So you know, we're looking at some economists, not Paul Krugman, not the sane ones, some economists are disagreeing with the Fed, and they're saying that over the next 3 years, you could see a 35% loss of the value of your money. There could be like 35% inflation.
Just the 35%.
But just the 35%. And there's nothing to worry about here. Gas prices, yes, they're at a 7-year high. But the good news is we're spreading that pain all across. I mean, for instance, natural gas, only up 25%.
Oh.
Only up 25%.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Right. The key construction costs still off the charts. But now you can't even really get an answer from when that will be in supply again. Okay? So they're no longer, they're just saying it's transitory.
No, wait, you say that we can't get construction supplies. You almost seem as if when you said that, you had personal experience with it. I mean, the way your eye twitched right when you started talking about construction supplies not coming in, it almost seemed personal to you.
No, I was just talking to one of the contractors.
Oh, okay.
Who's just trying to finish the driveway. And I said, I thought we were pouring concrete today. And he was like, oh, no. We can't get the concrete. No.
Oh, my heavens,
we can't get the concrete right now. And I said, oh, when are you? And he looks it up on his phone. And he's going through his calendar. And he said, 2 weeks. So
2 weeks, that's perfect.
2
That's
weeks.
not bad. 2 weeks is tolerable.
2 weeks. I don't think he was in on the joke.
No.
Because I looked at my wife and I said, wow, who would have guessed? 2 weeks.
It's that perfect time period. It's not tomorrow.
No, it's not tomorrow.
But it's not too far away. You can handle it.
Yeah, it's
just a couple of weeks. No big deal.
2 weeks away. So we got that going for us. Now, here's some good news. Biden's approval rating is down to 38%. It's not like golf. Okay, high score wins. He was at what was it? 51%, low to mid 50s, and then he started doing things and ending wars and working on the economy and fixing that whole COVID thing. He's got a vaccination for COVID, I'll tell you that. We're not going to close down the economy. Quote, we're going to close down COVID. Not working so well. I don't know if you've seen or heard anything, mainly at the gas pump. But he is down to 38% approval. But don't worry. We have Turtle Face. What's his name? Mitch McConnell. He's fantastic. And even though the president has 38% approval rating, can't get anything done, Mitch McConnell will be there to make sure that Biden administration is not left alone to sink on its own weight. He's a turtle. He's used to being underwater. And I think that's great. All right, back in just a second. Let me tell you about Built Bar. We're going to take your phone call.
Can't prescribe ivermectin as a drug if someone requests it. I have a friend of mine that lost her husband due to COVID because while in the hospital here in Ohio, they said, hey, this treatment's not working. Let's try the ivermectin. Let's try something else. Doctors refused. He passed away a few days later. So I just feel like rights in this country are being trampled on. I mean, you talk about it daily. Stu, you talk about it on Stu Does America. Great show.
Okay, this is a plant. Hello, seminar calls.
Thanks, Uncle Ted.
But no, I mean, you all do a great job at the Blaze of alerting us about this. And then what I do is I'm obviously preparing for my family, the food, the gold, the silver, to make sure that I can hold on to what the family
Well,
has. I think that's.
I will
Sorry,
tell
go
you,
ahead.
I don't see the government right away coming to take away your land. However, I do see the government taxing you to death when you try to pass your land on to your family. Family farms are going away. And that is by design. They want to control the food production, especially if you have cattle, dairy farms, ranchers. You're in real trouble. But that is something that we can fight at the polls. We have got to hand the Democrats the biggest, overwhelming loss they've ever seen. And that includes in the gubernatorial races that are happening right now and in Congress in, a year from now? It's got to be done or we do lose it. In Florida. Hello, Corey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Glenn. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. My family and I escaped North Carolina earlier this year and came down here to Florida, Tampa.
It's amazing.
Absolutely love it. My son, though, he received a liver transplant whenever he was 2 years old. He's 10 now. And we have changed his care to the Miami transplant team. And, the last appointment I had was a video conference appointment for him. And they asked me about his vaccination status. But at the time, it wasn't approved for 10-year-olds. Now that it is, there's, something that we're really kind of struggling with and trying to figure out where we have our rights as parents as to, what do we do when the hospital says that he has to have it?
So, Corey, a couple of things. First of all, I don't think that the vaccine has been approved for 10-year-olds.
Not yet, no. They've submitted today their application for emergency use authorization for 5 to 11-year-olds for Pfizer. So you have a little bit of time. I mean, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem, but that is what they're doing today.
So you're worried that what will happen?
That, essentially, we have shown that, there's more dangers for boys, with getting the vaccine. And that worries me because I don't want to give it to him being immunocompromised and having so many other health issues.
Mm-hmm.
What worries me is, Seamus, in order to receive care, they wouldn't see him unless he was insured, period. And he has to have meds to stay alive for the rest of his life. What scares me is with all of these mandates and everything happening, that when are they going to decide that they're not going to insure him for not doing it? When are they going to decide that, you see, like it's just this cascading effect of what do I do as a parent? How do I prepare for this? How do I keep my son safe?
Corey, I'm going to send this. I'm going to send this audio to Rick DeSantis and see if he won't respond.
Is that Ron's brother?
Or Ron DeSantis, and see if. No, now he's not going to respond. I'm going to send it to Ron DeSantis and see if he will, if he'll respond to this, because I think you're in the right state. And this kind of stuff has to stop. This is exactly what we warned about when it came to Obamacare. You can't politicize medicine. You can't. You've got to. While the free market is unfair at times because, a rich person can get whatever and a poor person may not be able to get it, but it is the fairest system. Otherwise, it becomes political, and they control your life, and they control every bit about you. If Ron doesn't respond to this, if Governor DeSantis doesn't respond to this, I'll pass it to Greg Abbott as well. There's got to be a state that will stand up for people like you. There has to be. Has to be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Glenn.
I want you to put her on hold and get all of her information, please. Let's try Joanne. Joan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Good.
So in Western Massachusetts, there's local towns that are initiated mask mandates in Holyoke and West Springfield. In all public places, outdoor, if you can't social distance, doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not, in private buildings too. So all buildings in their towns. There's shortages on the shelves, not major, but you do see shortages here and there of certain products. Nobody wants to work, it looks like, except for the conservatives. So there's tons of help wanted everywhere you go. I even took a second job just because people don't want to do it. And it's a good time to make extra money.
Good for you.
We put our house up for sale today.
Good.
Because we got to get out of this state. We have a beautiful place with 14 acres. Hard to leave it. We worked hard for it, but we're going.
Where are you going?
And, well, my son is in Texas, so that's a strong point. But we're looking at Florida also.
Yeah. Well, both of those are good options. Texas is, of course, Florida's a nice place. It's not Texas, but it's still a great place. Joanne, thank you so much. You're making the right move, I think. Michelle in Ohio. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Glenn. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I'm going to go right into my story. So I have a 20-year-old daughter that's halfway through her junior year of nursing school at a Christian university. She was told about 6 weeks ago that she has to get the shot because her clinical rotation is pediatrics, which is at Nationwide Children's in Columbus, and that's the only pediatric option that we have. I called the nursing dean, and the nursing dean at Mount Vernon said that it was the hospital that is requiring, not the university, and that the healthcare facility is only accepting medical exemptions, but that I should know that there's a viral immunologist on the review board that approves these exemptions. So this is the only facility in Central Ohio that offers pediatrics. She's decided to walk away, actually.
Wow.
Pretty sad because she doesn't want the shot. She's mentally exhausted. She's crying two to three times a day. During our state shutdown, the university had the students move out, and they were offered online labs and clinicals. So, why can't there be an option for people at this university?
Yeah.
Then Children's Hospital, don't bully me by telling me there's a viral immunologist.
I will tell you what is shocking to me is the number of nurses that are being fired left and right. The teachers that are now coming out and saying they don't want the vaccine. I mean, remember, our kids couldn't come back until the teachers were completely safe. They wanted it for your kids, but now they don't want the vaccine. I don't understand this march. Yes, I do. Let me say it this way. There is no logic behind the vaccine mandates. There's absolutely no logic behind it, unless you are just trying to teach a country how to be docile. Unless you're trying to make sure that the country knows you have more power than the people do. I think it was Washington that said, when the government fears the people, there is liberty. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. And I've been saying this for a while. We went from Obama to Donald Trump, and we just switched places. Half the country was terrified, and the other half was perfectly fine. That is a sign that the president has too much power. There is such a loss of power now, and it's not even the president. It is just his administration. There are people now that are unelected, faceless, nameless. You don't know who they are, and there's no one that can be held accountable for some of the things that are going on because it's now administrative duty. Well, we know what that's like. When something is, and it's usually the government or companies that are about to fail, when there's no one to actually get an answer from, when there's no one that is responsible for anything, and you're like, but wait, that makes no sense whatsoever. Can I just talk to somebody? Nope. It's just the way it is. That when that's happening in the government, that's your highest authority. You're supposed to be able to run to the government for help, and you can't right now.
No.
Michelle?
But yeah, I would think that a Christian university would stand up, make exceptions for their students, just like they did during COVID. I mean, they were able to make those adjustments then. Why can't they make it, just to get them through? There is a nursing shortage. Don't get me started on that either. But
right. I mean, the nurses were the first responders. The nurses were the heroes. The nurses were.
And they were good enough.
Right. And
they're not now.
And I think some of these nurses are not getting the vaccine because they probably have natural immunity. Many of them probably got COVID while they were working, and now they have natural immunity. And that's another thing that doesn't make sense. How come there is absolutely no space for natural immunity? We don't even talk about it. That's insanity. It's absolute insanity. I don't know what. Well, I do know what I would do. I was told. Thank you for your call. I was told that this one country that I had to fly into to be able to facilitate the things for Afghanistan, I was told at first that I had to have the vaccine. And I went home, I talked to my doctor, and he said, I don't think you should have this particular vaccine. And I said, okay, well, they're going to mandate it. And I made the decision at the time that if that was the cost for me to be able to go overseas to help facilitate the saving of those people, I would take the vaccine. I'm not taking the vaccine because I have natural immunity. And I also, it's a position of you're not going to tell me what to do. You're just not going to tell. I'm not going to be a sheep, because once we teach them that they can do this and expect not only that 100% of America gets the vaccine, but then we all have to agree with it and say that that's a good thing. No. If my job depended on it, that's where your personal decision comes in. I mean, that's quite a conviction to be able to say, I'm not going to further my schooling, my education, because I'm drawing the line there. And I don't condemn you for it. I do praise you that you do have a line and you're not willing to cross it. Good for you. Good for you for standing up.
Yeah, obviously you're weighing whether you think the vaccine is bad versus whether you want, if you're going to be able to provide for your family.
I don't think that it is even, for a lot of people, I don't even think that they think necessarily that it's bad. A lot of people do think it's bad. I don't. But I think there's a growing number of people that are just unwilling to bend.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that's something we need to rethink sometimes. That part of it is that when you allow someone else to, like, I actually know people who have done this. For example, they took the first vaccine shot in like May, and then they were waiting for their second one, and then Anthony Fauci said something that pissed them off so much they said, "Screw you! I'm not getting the second one." Now, I understand that because every time Fauci talks, I think everybody in the audience reacts the same way. Go away. And you want to recoil to whatever he says. However, what you're doing in that circumstance is subletting your decision-making process to Anthony Fauci.
Yeah,
whatever he's saying, you're doing the opposite.
Yes.
And that's not a healthy way to live either.
But that's not what I'm saying.
But you did something that I think is the smartest thing to do, which is you have a health expert who's well-versed in your particular situation.
Yeah.
Your doctor. Go ask your doctor, and if he says something and he gives you advice that you're not willing to take, you probably need a new doctor. Right? If you have a person who is your doctor and you go in there and they say, you know what, for you in particular, you shouldn't take the vaccine. You should take, you should go find some mushrooms in the backyard and start eating them. You might think that you should find a new doctor. Same thing that if someone comes to you and says, look, you're in a really dangerous situation and your health impact is really, you could die from this very easily. Maybe you should think about taking it.
So I want to get into the doctor thing in a minute. Let me first tell you about My Pillow. I have a love-hate relationship with my bed. I love being